So we will talk about Anderson Silva being. I was never a fan. I was never a fan of Anderson Silva. I liked Chris Leben even going into the fight. I had seen him a couple times in the Pride ring, and I didn't care to know or get to know the guy. I like to get to know the fighter a little bit, but I did watch the first season, The Ultimate Fighter, and I was like 22 or 21, and I liked Leben, and I thought, Leben's gonna take this guy's head off. He has no idea. And then he ends up, I think he only had like 79 or 81% of the strikes landed were like right on the chin. It was like 80. His pinpoint precision accuracy with his Muay Thai strikes are just impeccable. Something that only a handful of people probably on earth can do. He did in front of the world. It was during a fight night, a UFC fight night, so it was on like Spike TV, and he knocks out Chris Leben not once. I thought the ref was going to stop it. Leben regains consciousness real quick, tries to get his eggs unscrambled. Didn't work out for him too well, and Anderson puts him down with a devastating knee. And look at UFC 153, the one that just passed. Devastating knee. So, the guy's still doing it today. And let's not forget that he's seriously 37 years old. To me, that's crazy. I never took that into account either. I wasn't a Spider fan because it was, he came in, he got a title shot after just one fight with Rich Franklin, who was dominating the division. That, to me, when I think of the middleweight division, especially in the UFC, I think of Rich Franklin. He came in and showed that Rich Franklin really wasn't all that good. He actually dominated Rich Franklin in both first rounds, and Rich Franklin never tasted even a mid-second round with Anderson in either fight. He's 6'2". He trains at the Black House, Team Nogueira. He's the king of the middleweight division. Everyone knows that. Walks around about 215, 220, cuts down to about 185. So he's a big middleweight. He's a huge middleweight. He's strong. 37 years old with a record of 33-4. It's really, really something to behold. I think he's 16-0 in the Octagon. And, of course, UFC 153, stunning to watch. Bonner puts him against the fence and puts all his weight against him, tries to gas him out, tries to muscle him around a little bit and clinch with him till he's tired and strike and counter. And Anderson put his hands down the sides. Look, man, if his trunks had fucking pockets in him, his hands would have been in those bitches. He would have put his hands in his pockets and leaned against that cage. And so just, if he smoked, he would have lit a cigarette and just, kind of just... he's just that good. And you can see it in the Forrest Griffin fight when they slowed it down. Forrest throws a combination, and he saw that coming, and it was just like the Matrix, going backwards and sideways and this way. And then he comes back to knock Forrest down. It's just his... Even still, I'm still not sold on this guy because of the Abu Dhabi, because of Patrick Cote, because of Talis Latis. I'm not sold on this guy. I'm not sold. He threw a flying knee on Damian Maia, like most people would throw just a normal jab. So you're telling me, you couldn't finish him in 5 rounds. Dan Miragliotta actually had to warn him, if you don't start engaging, I'm going to have to call a no contest. I'm going to stop the fight. You have to fight. You have to engage. He was just goofing around and dancing, and that was a testimony to how good he is actually, because Damian Maia is a spectacular fighter, especially now that he's down at 170. I like him down at welterweight. The last time he lost was Pride Shockwave 2004. It was held on New Year's in Japan, and he got caught in a flying scissor heel hook, and that's the crazy shit you're probably going to have to do to beat Anderson the Spider Silva, to stop this this crazy. Well-rounded, super well-versed in every single area of mixed martial arts. You're probably going to have to catch him with another flying scissor heel hook to something to get this to stop, or else I just don't see it. I do know he's on a 17-fight win streak, but I think one of them involves cage rage, so I think it's 16 in the UFC. But he made a fan out of me. I thought that Silva Son 2 was stopped prematurely. I think it was stopped way too early, but he did make a fan out of me at UFC 153. I didn't get the pay-per-view. I watched it later on, and his actions, just stood there. Wherever Bonner wanted him to be, he did him a huge favor. Stood there right where Bonner wanted him to be and let him tee off on his face, let him tattoo his face. And then he decides to dive for a double leg or a single leg takedown. Bonner trips, bounces off the fence, and a perfectly timed knee to the solar plexus puts Bonner down. He said he felt like he got shot and he couldn't breathe. He said it was only a couple seconds, but it felt like an eternity. So a few punches later, the fight was over. It's amazing, amazing, amazing to watch. His Muay Thai is pinpoint precision. He's a master at the Muay Thai plum, where you hold the back of the neck, and he has insane control. He can just basically whip you around, and it's crazy. He has deadly knees. He's a Nogueira Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Saved him the Chael Sonnen fight in the 5th round. Everyone knows about that classic fight. The only thing I can see at his age and for what he's done for the sport, he really made me respect him. So I respect him more because he made a fan out of me. I'm like, man, this is Anderson Silva, but he made a fan out of me. He made me a fan, moving up and down in weight. Nobody can beat the guy. They take him down. He was mounted by Travis Lutter. He ends up throwing a triangle up and some elbows and gets Travis Lutter, the BJJ expert, to tap. And, I would love to see Silva versus Jones, especially at age 37. Jones, I think, is 25 now, so let's see a super fight. These two are easily number 1 and number 2, the active pound for pound fighters in the world, which is going to lead into my next video. I promise you guys that I'm going to make a video about greatest of all time. What does it really mean? Do you have to still be active in mixed martial arts to be considered greatest of all time? Is Fedor still, one of the greatest of all time? He's not active. He's retired. Is Chuck Liddell one of the greatest of all time? Is Tito Ortiz one of the greatest of all time? You know what I mean? Do you have to be active still? Do you have to be, does Vanderlei Silva, he was unstoppable for the longest time. And now, he seems to, be on quite a skid. But he's still active. So what are the standards for being the, considered greatest of all time? We'll talk about that next time. Please tune in. In the meantime, take care of each other.